Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rock and Alt Read-Through with yours truly, Roadrunner, and my buddy
Night,
here.
night browser.
Yes. And uh, Rock and Alt, this is the Rock and Alt Read-Through where we go through the various movements of Billboard's Rock and Alt charts. This week is just a lot of Melanie Martinez, uh, dreadfully. Also, some Boygenius and some other cool acts. So let's get to our top 10. First off, we start with what I will now call the Rock and Alt Wall with some massive dinosaurs. um, at number one, we have Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan on its eighth week at number one. In its 50th week on the chart as a whole. Something I forgot to mention last few episodes that is pretty interesting is um, this is probably the weakest number one the rock and alt chart has had since they started allowing songs to chart here.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, but either way, it's here on very strong streaming with, of course, very minimal radio. We'll probably stay on the top spot next week. I don't see anything dethroning this. Um, yeah, uh, we could have a case soon where all the top four is going to be recurrent on the Hot 100, which is pretty interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, that hasn't happened for like a few years. It's like 2020 or late 2019.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if it means that like rock and alt music is slow this time of year. Just one hasn't really taken off yet. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
hmm Two is Until I Found You by Steven Sanchez here on its 55th week. Still having some good streaming and radio, but both aspects on the decline. So won't be surprised if this continues to drop, but still pretty stable. Three is Bad Habit by Steve Lacy on its 40th week. Also pretty stable on streaming, but still declining every week, paired up with not much more radio left. It could actually go below our number four soon enough,
Hmm?
which is Sunroof by
Uh,
Nikki Daisy on its 61st week. Despite having no more notable streaming, just has insane amount of radio, more than I thought. Sadly, may not go anywhere anytime soon. As to why, probably as I said before, just having a weaker chart.
I have my sunroof out the sunroof. I'm getting
Yes,
sunroof.
Sunroof forever, Sunroof always. But
True.
yeah,
So
it
true.
uh, Bad Hat. Like I was looking at the recurrence chart for the Hot 100, and Bad Habit and Sunroof are right next to each other. So um, it's Bad Habit might actually uh, go below Sunroof next week, but we'll have to see.
Okay, for a second I thought you were talking. You you sounded like you were talking about Bad Habits, the Ed Sheeran song. It's
Oh
like that's
no,
totally.
no, that would be insane. But yeah. Now we can finally get to a lot more interesting stuff with some cool shakeups in our top 10. Number five, we have a new entry into our top 10, Void by Melanie Martinez, which is all the way up here from 40 last week on some really strong streaming and okay sales from the boost that her album gave her this week. I could see this lasting in the top 10 for a bit, but we'll have to see where this goes from here.
Hmm.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay, quote
Yay,
unquote.
yeah. um, Six, we have Ceilings by Lizzie McAlpine, which is down a spot. Which although having pretty good streaming, the streaming is stalling a bit. Also, while starting its radio run, they are being a bit slow to get on board, um,
Mm.
and could end up breaking the rock and alt wall if radio speeds up enough. Um,
Uh, Radio, please get on board with this.
yeah, that would be really nice. Uh, but yeah, now moving on to our number 7, we have a re-entry into our top 10. Need a Favor by Jelly Roll, which is back in the top 10 from being at around number 9 2 weeks ago, from a really strong sales run and some really good radio gains while having some pretty decent streaming, mostly from Amazon, because that's where all the country charts.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but um, could definitely keep gaining. I could also see this making a big run towards the top later on.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh yeah. It's still bullying on both country radio and rock radio, I believe.
hmm Yeah, I think it being on mainstream rock is the only thing that is allowing it to be on this chart right now.
Oh yeah. To be fair, Samba Sinner was only pushed to country radio, and that's still charted here.
No, no, it was actually on mainstream rock, I think. Or am I
Uh,
wrong about that?
you might be confusing it with Dead Man Walking, which
Yeah,
was the mainstream rock single.
yeah, maybe. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see where that one goes. 8, we have Dawns by Zach Bryan and Maggie Rogers, which has some stable streaming and it's kind of dwindling. So it could keep hovering in the top 10, but probably not going to get much higher, sadly.
Aww.
Yeah. And now we end with the top 10 with two Melanie Martinez tracks. At number 9, we have Death, which stays in the top 10 as of course streaming stays stable, most definitely because of the album. And 10, The Contortionist by Melanie Martinez, which debuts in the top 10, seems to be the fan favorite for her fans. We'll have to see how this holds on the rock and roll chart.
Oh god, that fucking song.
Yeah,
We'll get
well,
to it.
we'll definitely get to it. So, Night Browser, why don't you start us off on our losers and dropouts?
Oh yeah. Since so much had Since so much has dropped out due to the back to back album bombs, with this one being even bigger than the one previously, it might not be worth it to go over the losses. As for the songs that went recurrent, we have Romantic Homicide by David going recurrent after spending 35 weeks on the chart and peaking at number 4. It should definitely lock for the year end. Another lock for the year end is Spin My Face by Thanks From Much. Also goes recurrent this week after spending 21 weeks and peaking at number 9. Nine. Also, FDF by SZA. It leaves the chart after a cool 16-week run, though it could possibly return, but we'll have to see. As for our gainers and reentries, only notable reentry is Not Strong Enough by Boygenius, coming in from the release of their album at 33. Though we also had one other reentry with The Summoning by Sleep Token at 50, whose streaming has remained surprisingly stable. I'm hoping this one locks for the year end.
Yeah, the fact that it re-entered on this week is probably a good sign that it's having some good momentum.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah,
uh,
no big gangers this week. All of them were on the smaller side. Smaller
yeah,
side.
it was just basically there was only two gainers this week, and it was by one spot towards the bottom 10, so they weren't really worth it to talk about.
Yeah.
So with our album bomb rules, we will only be covering the songs that made the top 20. Um, so the songs that will not be covered due to album bomb rules include number 30, Womb by Melanie Martinez, number 28, Leeches by Melanie Martinez, and number 27, Moon Cycle by Melanie Martinez. Which means, yes, we will be covering 8 Melanie songs since she had 8 in the top 20. But since they're towards the top, let's get to some of our other debuts. Starting at number 44, we have $20 by Boygenius. Um, I'll say I'm glad Boygenius were able to get a few debuts this week. They were probably gonna get a bunch more if Melanie didn't also release her album same day. But especially I like this one is probably my favorite of the two, which I think their sound kind of shines the most here. The lyrics are pretty interesting, basically like going on about like a long drive on a whim, or it could be like a metaphor for like energy for the singers, and I think kind of like that open endedness of the like lyrical content is kind of gives adds to that like open vibe of the entire song. Either way, the instrumental bangs and the harmonies and trade offs are just really cool. The ending, the like really aggressive ending, is also very much a highlight. Just all around a great track, and would recommend it.
So yeah, I have to agree with Runner on this being the best of the two Boy Genius debuts. It describes the feeling of self-destructing impulses, and it really does capture that experience in the rebellious part of your childhood. Also, the outro where Phoebe screams her heart out is stunning.
Yeah, very much agreed on that. Now, for our number 43, we have 72 Seasons by Metallica. I will say I'm not a big fan of this type of metal sound, but it's cool for what it is with those chunky riffs and switch ups all throughout. From what I can pick up on, the message seems to be about like corruption and how this leading to downfall of society and all types of issues like lack of care for the environment and nepotism. Nothing too bad, but I wouldn't like. It's just not my style.
Oh yeah, I'm still debating whether to check out the an upcoming Metallica album. I like Luke's area, but it still kind of felt like yet another Metallica song to me. This
Hmm.
one though has me more excited. Although the lyrics are a little vague, from what I can tell myself, it seems to be from the point of view of the protagonist's continued struggle with their turbulent upbringing, with 72 seasons being used as another term for the first
Uh,
18 years of someone's life.
yeah,
It
that
has
actually.
it has that classic Metallica thrash sound, even if it's not anything new for the bit. And there's a bit more firepower here compared to Luke's area, and they still have the technical chops 4 decades in their career. Pretty awesome stuff, in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, that's actually, I would say, like a better analogy than what I picked up on. Because for me, it was just hard, kind of hard to dissect what they were talking about, but that actually makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so for our number 38, we have Straight and Narrow by Sam Barber. This is just some really cool indie country. The stripped back acoustic guitar, which is very standard for the style, but it really works. The lyrics seem to be about trying to live your best possible self. We all make mistakes, and it's sometimes better just to move on and accept them, and just continuing to try to be your best person. Uh, with that intensity and gruffness in his voice, it really does make the emotions very potent. Only complaint I would say is the Zach Bryan inspiration. It just makes this like a bit too derivative. Like I think kind of made it a bit too derivative in Zach's style. But either way, it's still a really good song. So.
So as you said, this song resembles that of Zach Bryan a lot, especially in his vocal performance. Though I think he has a more youthful energy to his voice that makes him stand out and from him. Um,
Mhm.
um, as you've said, the instrumentation is great. I also really like the lyrical themes of moving forward in spite of hard times, which are executed poetically and hit hard for me personally. Fantastic song. Can't wait to see where this guy heads up next.
Mhm. Seems he's getting a lot of hype from TikTok, so we'll have to see if he has the same trajectory as Zach.
Oh,
It'll be interesting to see where this leads. Um, Now, onto our number 34, Cool About It by Boygenius, which is the highest debut from their little debuts they got this week. And I'll say it's maybe one of the weaker cuts on the album as a whole. It has this nice mellow vibe like most Boygenius songs tend to do, but nothing really helps it stand out in its own way. Um, but I do relate to the subject matter of trying to approach someone and the feelings that can come with that, be that anxiety or excitement. Um, and yeah, it's just very relatable track.
Oh, I've actually have yet to listen to that Boy Genius album, but this and $20 seem like solid first introductions. It details the messy aftermath of a breakup with a speaker trying to get over her ex partner. The lyrics have a lot of depth behind them, and all three members pull off pretty solid performances. Pretty, pretty solid stuff.
Mm-hmm. Now, uh, now we get to Melanie. Just all Melanie from here on out. Um, Starting with number 20, Battle of the Larynx. Not good. Some of the lyrics seem to be hinting to her allegations, which is just why. Along with lyrics that are kind of hard to follow, but seem to be about like fighting with somebody. Yeah, just not good.
Yeah, once I saw the Genius page and found out that at least part of the song is about her allegation, this song was an immediate turned off.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't help that the production here is washed out and any detail.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just move on to our
Yeah.
number 19. I hope I'm not mispronouncing this, but at the same time, I don't really care. But Faerie Soiree by Melanie. This song is pretty inoffensive, apart from her god awful singing. Sounds like she might be recounting her experience on some hallucinogenics. Either way, just a big shrug for me.
Yeah, the first, yeah, I first and second halves feel slapped together and don't connect sonically. Also, the claps sprinkled throughout the first half are obnoxious and remind me of the ones on Living Proof by Camila Cabello, if anyone remembers that track.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I this is probably like bottom five in the album for me.
Yeah. Um, Number 18, Light Shower by Melanie Martinez. I'll say this is probably my favorite on the album, but this only gets decent tier for me. Even with that, it's a good enough ballad about her significant other, but it still has those just god awful, cringy, faux, edgy lyrics. So, still, why? Just this whole album, why? Question mark.
Oh yeah, this whole album's just a big question mark, as you said. And I agree with this being in probably like the quote unquote best song on here. The stripped back instrumentation sounds a lot better than the stiff and robotic sound throughout the rest of the album. And as you said, the lyrics are edgy, but they at least have a little bit more maturity to them. Again, at least compared to the rest of the album. If her vocals didn't sound so over processed, I might actually like this one.
Mm-hmm. Um, Number 17, Spiderweb. Another awful one. The instrumental especially tries to do this dance type beat that keeps clipping the mix, and her vocals don't fit here whatsoever.
Yeah. What the hell? How is this being? I guess it's supposed to
Yeah,
go for this like creepy childlike vibe, but sounds more annoying and laughable than scary. And the lyrics on
exactly.
social and the lyrics on social media addiction feel tired and don't really bring anything new to the table.
Mm-hmm. Now moving on to our number 15, Nymphology. God, the singing is just extra bad on this. Jesus Christ. Like,
Oh
there's also
yeah.
this like weird analogy about problems women face, which would usually be fine, but it's very surface level with no real critiques. This is probably one of the worst, maybe bottom three cuts on the entire album.
Oh yeah, she sounds horrible on here. Like on top of her usually overprocessed vocals, her performance sounds like a whiny child, especially in the post-chorus where she spells out the title like she's at a spelling bee. And
Mm-hmm.
while the themes here are the manic pixie dream girl trope and deconstructing how it's often used by men to place women under certain roles could have had potential, and it's executed very poorly.
Yeah, yeah, basically. It's like, God. Uh, Moving on to our number 13, Tunnel Vision by, yeah, Melanie Martinez. Seems to be a world building track for the album, from what I understand, trying to set a tone and lyrically sets up the album as well. Just an overall nothing of a song that does not sound good.
I'll give it this. It's not the worst song with that title, but that's not
Oh,
saying much.
yeah.
This just sounds like a diet version of a track from Billie Eilish's first album.
Oh,
Um, it's extremely forgettable, as you said.
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Number 12, Evil. I'll say one of the better instrumentals here, but the lyrics and singing are so bad it doesn't even matter. Has all the Melanieisms in it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Ed, it's one of the better sounding songs on here. The guitars give it some edge that the rest of the album was lacking, but as you said, the lyrics just had that usual Melanie sting to them. Uh, um, yeah, not good.
Mm-hmm. Uh, and finally, our number 10, The Contortionist. Big question. Why is this the fan favorite? This track is just so uncomfortable. Talking about bedroom activities with sounds of bones breaking in the back is not appealing at all. Like, the mixing, plus mixing this with like very extreme writing that kind of romanticizes violence is very disgusting. Very bad listening experience. It makes me question who are Melanie's fans and why do they love this song. Okay, that's
On honestly, I was more I was a while I was a little disgusted with this. I was even more confused more than anything. Like the production is brittle and clunky, even more so than the rest of the album. The strings, the 808s clash with each other, and as you said, the brittle breaking bones sound effects are obnoxious. Yes, yes,
mm-hmm.
yes, and the fiends of bending over backwards and comparing herself to a contortionist feel underwritten as per usual for her. It's like an edgy version of Issues by Julia Michaels.
Yeah, yeah. God. So what are your awards for this week, my browser?
For me, best of the week will go to Straight and Narrow by Sam Barber, while I'll give an honorable mention to 72 Seasons by Metallica. Uh, this honorable mentions for me are tied with Nymphology and Spiderweb by Melanie Martinez, and the worst of the week will have to go to the Contortionist by Melanie Martinez.
Yeah. OMG, it's almost like we think alike. I mean, best of the week for me goes to $20 by Boygenius. Honorable mention for me goes to Straight and Narrow by Sam Barber. Um, but for my dishonorable mentions, same thing. Nymphology and Spiderweb. uh, and worst of the week is The Contortionist. So that's kind of funny how
Yeah.
it landed. Um, But yeah, maybe it just goes to show how just god awful this entire album was, and it was not a fun experience.
Oh my god.
Like,
Uh,
I,
oh yeah,
I,
go
I,
on.
I was hoping to give her the benefit of the doubt when I actually went in and listened, but no, it's as bad as everyone is saying. I was shocked.
Yeah. Oh my god, that album was a nightmare. I don't. At least I know I'll probably won't have to listen to a worst album than that. At least this year. At least I hope.
Yeah. And I think that's been the episode. Glad that it's over. Um, Next week, I think we're gonna have some re-entries, but not a lot because I think unfortunately, a lot of Melanie's albums is gonna hold well. Here. In terms of debuts, we'll have to see how Billboard counts it. But Lil Yachty actually has a single, which was a leftover from the Let's Start Here sessions.
Oh.
Um, Yeah, and it's actually doing pretty well, which is it's doing a lot better than most of the tracks on the album. So if they do count it, it'll likely debut top 10. Um, Apart from that, have no clue what else could debut next week. As always, if you have any compliments or concerns, feel free to put them in the comments as we really try to perfect this format. Leave a like and subscribe. You know you want to. And thank you to everyone for taking their time to watch this. We very much appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm Roadrunner,
And I'm Night Browser.
and we'll see you next time.